Good evening, everybody. This is Sweat, and I'm bringing you another gameplay from the First Strike DLC. This is the map Discovery, by far my favorite map of all the maps in the map pack. And once again, I've got my own little routine down. I like to jump on this truck, see if there's any contact I can get initially, and then I like to work this left side over here. I'm not going to talk too much about this gameplay. I'm going to make a comment or two here and there, but one thing I do want to say very quickly is don't be surprised if we have some sort of patch for spawns in this map pack, especially this map. You'll see in a few instances throughout the game how easily the spawns switch, and how close I'll spawn directly after I die. Just moments before. So that's something I'm interested to see if they come out with. Want to dive right into some subscriber comments, and they want to know, a lot of you guys want to know about my everyday life in the Marine Corps. And just to cover it in a few different ways, I can go a lot of different angles with this, but the angle I wanted to take was how difficult my transition was to the Fleet Marine Force, which is the level that you get after you go to boot camp, after you go to Marine combat training, and after you go to your MOS school, your military occupational school. That's where they teach you your job in the Marine Corps. And the reason why I want to cover this is because it easily was one of the most difficult things that I've ever had to experience in my life. And the reasoning behind it was, besides that I am such a wimp as far as leaving home. I love my mom's cooking. I love Louisiana. I love the weather, the crawfish, the women, the football, all those things. And I was stationed, my first station was Iwakuni, Japan. And again, it was one of the most difficult things that I had to do. And one of the things that I want to relay to you guys is, whether you move to Iwakuni, Japan, whether you move into a different house, a different school, whatever it is, don't make the transition harder on yourself than you have to, because that was my problem. I may as well try to go in there kicking and screaming the way that I handled the situation. As defiant as I was, and looking back, that certainly didn't make anything easier. I was 19 years old. I had just graduated boot camp. I flew through Marine combat training, which was one of the most difficult things to that point, which to me was harder than boot camp because of the weather that we had to put up with during MCT. Then I'd gone to San Angelo, Texas, home of Goodfellow Air Force Base, where our MOS school was, which is your military occupational specialty. Again, it's your job in the Marine Corps, aircraft firefighting. And I'd done really well there, and everywhere from boot camp to MCT to MOS school in Goodfellow, I had to put up with the tall, lanky, skinny, didn't weigh 140 pounds and was 6'1", 6'1". That was difficult each place. So that alone had given me, kind of a chip on my shoulder, and I'd done really well each place, each station. I get to Iwakuni, and that was just a whole different ball game. And again, because of the chip on my shoulder that I had before, I had that bad attitude about people doubting me once again, and this is embarrassing right here, because I didn't see this guy twice, and because it's theater mode, you get to see me falling down, and it never ends. But what that did was it put me in a bad position simply because I was rubbing people the wrong way, basically. Everyone from my superiors to my peers that had made the transition with me. The guys that were on the plane, that we all got off the plane and into a new country for the first time, and that held me up as far as advancing on the crew. And that's what your goal was. Your goal is to advance into each crew position. You don't want to stay at the turret. You don't want to stay on top of the truck. And that's where you started off when you first got to your duty station. As they were learning, as you were learning, as they were teaching you everything you had to know about every aircraft. The F-16, the F-15, F-14, and any and all aircraft that you can think of. You have to learn the escape routes for the pilots, the escape routes for the passengers, what kind of explosive ordnances they have on board, everything from what are the hazards of the aircraft when they jettison, when the pilots jettison and parachute out. What can explode on the plane. So while all this time that I'm supposed to be learning all this, and new Marines are learning this information, you learn it by sitting on top of a truck, looking up, looking left, looking right, watching every aircraft land, take off, circle the field, and your goal is basically to be a lookout. And it's miserable up there. It is, because it really didn't matter about the weather conditions and what they were like. If it was hot, unless it was triple digits, you stayed up there. And if it was freezing, unless it was raining, you stayed up there. And the guys inside the truck didn't come up there and keep you company. The only reason they came up was to make sure you weren't asleep, and that you were reading the little book of knowledge that they gave you, that they give all the new Marines that come on station. And nobody's going to help you learn that knowledge. Nobody's going to help you read through that material if, besides the fact that you can take their job inside the truck, inside the vehicle, and put them up top, if they know that you have a bad attitude about it. So that's what I want you guys to take and learn at my expense. I learned this lesson for everybody. So the more people that can realize that, the better. Because again, the Marine Corps doesn't promise you a bed of roses, but you can definitely make it easier on yourself when you're open to the idea, that change happens, and that it's not something that you just go into like a bull in the china shop. So thanks again, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to sharing a lot more stories with y'all in the future. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you again for watching.